I'm a good kid that moved to a bad city. How did this happen? Well, I'm about to tell you. I currently live in the hood. As you may or may not have realized from a previous video, I moved to the hood for financial reasons. Mainly, it was the cheapest option to get a roof over my head and to basically start off my life and attempt to start a family. I did not grow up in the hood though. I grew up in a black suburb. And it was one of the best moments and feelings of my life. I absolutely appreciated all the sacrifice my mom and my dad did and embarked on in order for them to have or provide us, me and my brother, the lifestyle that we had in our childhood. I never had to worry about food. I never had to worry about entertainment, recreation, nothing. It was, I will almost say, picture perfect as a child growing up. It made me realize that I, with the advantages that I grew up with, it basically changed my mindset on a lot of the culture that I consumed growing up. Trust me, I listen to rap, I listen to hip hop, and it's a little bit of jazz, but mainly just hip hop, rap, and R&B. And it was very easy for me to not relate to any of the music that I listened to, but enjoy it. Just enjoy it for entertainment. The way I realized that I had a different mindset when it came to black culture was when I started to realize that a lot of my tastes were different than some of the tastes of a lot of my friends. A lot of the whom came from the same environments that I wouldn't say came from, because I spent the majority of my time in a black suburb, but a lot of them had a lot of the same circumstances like them. They had family members, whether it was a mom or dad or family relative or anyone that was taking care of them that moved them out of the hood into that suburb we were living in. It's a weird adjustment because you're trying to create an identity as a child to from a child to a teenager to a young adult, and you have this influence of what black culture is telling you you have to be as a man. And you're seeing a lot of that being skewed into more of the hyper aggressive black man. Back when I really started listening to hip hop, DMX, 50 Cent, Cannabis, Big L, Fat Joe, The Lox, a lot of those artists back in the day were extremely aggressive. And it's fine because you also gotta understand those acts were coming from authenticity. That was just what they did. They had to have that persona, whether it was for entertainment or whether it was something they were dealing with on the day-to-day life in order to survive their environments. And it just spilled out into their music. It was a level of authenticity, or at least what in most cases we believe was authenticity that we were able to relate to. Maybe not so much the actual experiences that they were talking about when it came to the drugs and the violence and just the day to day, but how real it made you feel and how they picked the right words and the right beats to really amplify what they were going through. It was that emotional connection through their art that you were able to really appreciate what they were going through and have them do it so eloquently through the music. It was entertainment for me. I did enjoy listening to a lot of that rap. I enjoyed it all, but I couldn't relate to it. It wasn't until I really started listening to Kanye West. The first album I ever listened to was Kanye West's College Dropout. That was the first album I bought and I listened to from the intro song, all the way to the interlude and the outro. Kanye West's College Dropout made me seriously fall in love with hip hop. That was the first time that I listened to something and was able to feel something extremely authentic without having to put on a fake persona about what I was listening to. Like I didn't feel as though I had to be like all in your face, like I have to like go and punch a wall or something like that. It was never that serious. And I know everybody knows how Kanye West is now. I'm not talking about the character of Kanye West right now. That's not what I'm going to do, nor would I ever want to, because I just enjoy his early works, all the way from graduation, late registration. I would even say 808s and heartbreaks. It Kanye West was is really good at taking a lot of the experiences that he had and making them relatable through a lot of the genius sampling that he did. I couldn't I was too late for Talib. I was too late for Most Def. I was too late for a Tribe Called Quest. I was too late for a lot of that conscious rap, a lot of that late, I would say mid 90s conscious rap. And it just wasn't mainstream enough for me to be able to find it. But when I was able to hear Kanye West and see how he was able to do what he did, the Def Jam, not comedy, but the poetry that he did and the subject matter that he talked about, it made me realize that you can talk about certain things and still make it popular. It just made me fall in love with the art itself. And I was actually called weird for listening to before he jumped off the deep end. I was actually called weird for liking Kanye West's music back in the day. And it's fine. It's fine. I don't take any offense whether someone may have thought we were kids. So what? So what if someone thinks you were weird because you listen to Kanye West, but you weren't listening to whatever at that time? It, it was more of a circumstance of an example of the different the different sides of how we perceive black culture in itself. We were trying to project this or hyperfixate on this aggressive violent image that when we had an opportunity to really enjoy, I wouldn't say soothing, but like music about God or music about just the everyday life in the hood that doesn't have to deal with killing or coke, you look like a weirdo apparently back in the day. It made me enjoy J. Cole and Big Sean and Drake. I still even said I love to listen to Rick Ross and Jay-Z, but with J. Cole specifically, J. Cole was another one of those artists that it took time for people, at least from my experience, to really go and enjoy J. Cole in his entirety. I was a little late myself, if I want to be honest with you, but not late enough where people were just like, "Oh, okay, well, you were never a J. Cole fan." I my the first time I really listened to J. Cole, he did Workout. Workout was a nice little radio single, in my opinion. It was nice. It was upbeat. It got you up and going. It showed a lot of the dexterity of his skills. It was something that I enjoy listening to. And then it made me go and listen to his early mixtapes. And the first mixtape I listened to from him was The Come Up. The Come Up really made me a fan. But what really solidified me as a J. Cole fan was 2014 Forest Hill Drive. 2014 Forest Hills Drive was it was the second time, not that I purchased the physical copy, but the second time I listened to an entire album, loved it, did not skip, and realized, oh yeah, he really put his soul into this. Back then, Born Center came out while I was in high school, and for me, and 2014 Forest Hill Drive came out when I graduated. I graduated in 2013. I feel old, but I graduated in 2013. That was one of the first real albums I was able to like really sit down and listen to while I was in college, and really like that I was like analyzing his wordplay from Wet Dreams and the line that he said about Elvis and Eminem and Justin Timberlake on Fire Squad. It was just it was a microcosm of just conversation that I enjoyed amongst a group of people. And that was the first time in college, like I found a group of people that were like-minded. That was just, oh, you listened to 2014 Forest Hill Drive? I was like, yeah, I did too. And then we're just picking apart every line from the album. I didn't get that opportunity when I listened to the College Dropout because there wasn't a lot of people back then that really cared about that type of rap. That's why a lot of people just don't even think about Wale. Wale is literally one of the best poets that came out of that XXL class. But unfortunately, no one mainstream is taking his art seriously besides J. Cole. And I'll say Kendrick. The reason why I'm saying all of this is the drastic change from Kanye West's College Dropout to J. Cole's 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Even though it was more than a decade apart, it showed that people are now allowing themselves to, or opening themselves up to a different type of music inside of Black culture. And I'm starting to really understand it, the the whole capacity that allows the spectrum of different flavors and different perspectives of how people consume Black culture and Black media now. It gave me the confidence to know that even though I don't have the full tenure of being in the hood and being a part of the hood, that I can live and thrive as long as I don't put myself in a violent situation or I try to act like anything that I am. I would have never hopped off the porch. Anybody who is watching this video or understands the concept of just hopping off the porch. Hopping off the porch basically means that when you are young and you live in the hood, you, instead of just staying on the porch and just watching people walk by and you at your curfew and everything, you would get off your porch, and then you would go and spend time with your friends outside, and you really didn't have as many rules or regulations, which kind of made it easy for you to get into trouble. I would have never done that, especially if I had my father. I would have never wanted to do that. It never interests me to put myself, I wouldn't say in harm's way, but put myself in a situation where I'm easily uncomfortable. Ironic enough that I had to move back to the hood, and the first few weeks, I'm gonna say maybe month, I did feel uncomfortable. But then as I got more time and I made my space comfortable inside of my own house, I realized there's really nothing to worry about. It's now is a little easier to accept a change of environment because now the world itself, not even just a subsection of black culture, which is very, very small in the grand scheme of the entire world, but the entire world is now adapting to the access of all the information that we have. To give you some more context, when I was growing up, it was very, very easy to understand the difference in all the regions of hip hop. Like you had down south, which was Ludacris and T.I. and Young Jeezy, and you had you had the I want to say Midwest, or not Midwest, but you had like the country rap, and then you had 3 6 Mafia, and then yeah, West Coast, you had E40, and then you had all the other Snoop Dogg and Death Row. The geographical differences between all the different types of rap created all these pockets of creativity. You don't have that anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. People have now adjusted to blending all those styles together to creating one cohesive sound inside of hip hop. And a lot of people are missing that individuality that hip hop and rap has created itself on. At the end of the day, that's just how basically life adjusts itself. When you really consider how easy it is to make these adjustments inside of our own culture, things that are widely accepted now would have not even been a conversation 5, 10, even 20 years ago. I now on Instagram subscribe to basically black mental health pages. Mental health wasn't a conversation. When it's sometimes it's still not a conversation. When you think about the concept of having to survive and figure out where your next meal is and how to pay your bills, sometimes you really don't have the opportunity to think about your own mental health. And people only see it from the inside out, or the outside in, I should say. People only see you just like, oh, you haven't been resting, or blah, blah, blah. And growing up inside of the suburbs, I personally didn't know much about any of those struggles growing up because, again, I really didn't have to worry for much. But then when it came to a point where it was now time for me to provide for myself, to provide a lifestyle that I wanted and be independent, then I'm taking on all these responsibilities and these heavy loads. These responsibilities and these heavy loads, even now in my tender age, in my early 30s, are still monumental. It's still a heavy burden that I still have to deal with every single day. And growing up, I didn't know any specific tools that I can use to just help express and talk about how I was feeling. Now it's very easy to find support groups and to find articles online, to even access therapy and talk to more people that more equipped with emotional intelligence to help out. That wasn't a thing back then. And I wouldn't say it was because of hip hop and rap and black culture. No, we just didn't know. It's it, it it's just so much ignorance that is attributed to some of the decisions that were made and some of the ways we expressed ourselves that I'm not going to put any blame on anyone or anything for not knowing what I needed to do or how to express myself during these very difficult times. I will just move forward with it. And it that's why a lot of different types of people don't really understand aggression and plight and the things that certain people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis in order to just continue to wake up, to get out of their house, to get out of their bed if they even have a bed. And I understand both sides of the coin now. I understand what it means to have the luxury of just owning certain things and doing certain things and being able to move without having to worry about my own safety. And then I have been near environments where I've seen people that do not have that luxury. They don't know when their next meal is coming. They don't know who to talk to or what resources that they can use or anyone that can support them. I've seen both sides. And it's weird because you would think, why would a kid like myself want to go back to that? Why would I want to go back to that environment even though my parents worked so hard to make sure that I didn't have to deal with it? It's more of it's sacrifices that need to be made in order to get to a certain point in my life. I would have loved to be at the point where my dad and my mom were when they were 30, right now in my own life. And I have to hold myself completely accountable for some of the decisions that I made already. I have to hold myself accountable for the career choices that I've made, financial decisions that I made, the friends that I made, the path that I've chosen. There's nobody else to blame. And I honestly don't believe I went down a bad path at all. I'm actually really, really happy in the grand scheme of things of where I'm at. It's just unfortunate that I created a sense of entitlement of what I expected my life to be at the age of 30 or even 31 as I we approach 2026. I'm not upset about it now because I'm trying to approach everything with gratitude of my health, of where I, my where I'm living now, and the help that I can provide some of my own family, and the love that I can continue to give them, and just being able to just wake up every day and have and touch hopefully touch a heart of someone who's watching this video today. I truly believe there's nothing wrong with being a good kid in a mad city. If you develop good leadership skills and you're willing to make sacrifices and put yourself out there, you might find another good kid. You might even change the city, who knows? If you're ambitious enough and you dream hard enough, you may put yourself in a position where you change that mad city into a good city. not everybody's going to be good. Now, with technology and social media and the available resources that a lot of people have easier access to, our culture has been blended in with other cultures and other subsections that has created this beautiful spectrum of the the diversity that we have. Now we have black nerds now that are a big thing. We have, of course, we have people that still love sports and hip hop and rap and everything, but now we have black creative artists, writers and screenwriters and videographers and photographers. It's phenomenal how how much this has opened up because a lot of these hobbies and a lot of these things that are people are embracing now were not widely accepted. They were not, and now they are. That's why it was very easy for me to just come back to the hood. I'm now in an environment where the playing field with of what's accepted has been broadened so much that people really just can't grasp the concept of how diverse our entire culture has become. And being in the hood, I'm not worried about having to put on a persona and being someone different just to have my own safety. Because I was never part of the hood environment growing up. And two, I know that I can find a place in my own neighborhood, my own community, without having to act like what you needed to be in the early 2000s and 2010s in order to survive. I don't have to do any of that. I could just make videos, put them online. Hopefully, I can motivate another young black professional or a young black man and be like, you know what? I want to take a start and I want to find a safe house, safe, decently priced house. If I can do that, I'll be happy. I am okay with wanting to chase what I was looking for. I was trying to chase my childhood again into my adulthood, which is why I kind of felt a little disappointed about not having what I thought I was entitled to. But that's okay because I'm doing very well. I'm doing a lot better than I expected. And I can embrace being this good kid in a mad city because even the city itself is not as mad as it used to be. It's getting better. There's developing schools, developing hospitals. Kids feel a little bit more comfortable playing out night. And you know what? I can see a lot of good in a mad city. I hope hopefully some people do too. Hopefully I do see that too.